Let's see if I can handle this correctly. First time, everybody, thank you so much for those who are tuning in. All of this is new to me, so I apologize ahead of time if I get something wrong, but figured might as well share what I'm learning. So we are currently live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks to the magic of Restream. Shout out to Restream. Excellent product. And we're going to give this a try. So the way it's supposed to work is, regardless of what platform you're watching on, if you chat, it should pop up on my Restream chat page here. I don't know. We'll see. Apologies ahead of time for hearing the keyboard clickety clacks. I gotta figure that out. Noise filter's not filtering it out for some reason. So let me just kill the audio on all these so I don't hear myself 3 times in a row. All right. Okay, so welcome to the stream. What I'm doing today is I'm just creating a procedural map generator application for Bonfire. Bonfire, for those of you who don't know, that is a product that I'm working on as part of the company that I'm a part of. It's a no-code, low-code solution for the XR space, as well as for all the other platforms that are out there. And what's really cool about it is the fact that we've fundamentally changed the way assets are handled. So normally you would have all your visual data live in its own FBX file or GLB file, etc. And then all of your code would have to live inside of an application. With what we're trying to develop is we are allowing for logic to live with the visuals, get away from the need to have to make a full application every single time. And we've had some fantastic luck with that. However, it's not without its own friction points, and one of them being that if you're not an artist, you don't really have a way to be able to easily create maps to then be able to place your content on top of. So, hence this map generator. Now, it's a very rough and dirty prototype. I only started it today, and as I was starting it, I thought to myself, well, why don't I just share my progress on this? It's nothing overtly special. It's just your standard procedural generator. And it would be cool to just try and share it out with the community and start to get into the hang of this live streaming process. So here we are. So like I said, still getting used to this. Apologies ahead of time. I will improve this as we go along. But figured best way to learn is to just jump in feet first, right? So here we go. So to get things started, let me make sure I've got the right project stood up here. Cool. Okay, so I've already mocked up the rough GUI for this. Now, granted, this is a functional GUI. This is not a final design in any way, shape, or form. But if I press play here, you'll get the general gist of what we're trying to do. So we have this grid of squares, right? So let me go ahead and full screen this. So you got a grid of squares here, and it's squares simply because right now, with this being a prototype, we don't really want to be messing with brush types and having to actually paint onto a render texture. We'll implement that at a later date, but we're trying to get this ready in time for our Steam launch, which is later in August. And so I'm just going for lean and mean right now. And so the idea here being, you'll punch in a value for how many cells you want along the X, how many cells you want along the Y, and then this is going to be some base value for what you want the map's height to be. Starting from, we'll probably do like a negative number to a positive number, min, max, 0, somewhere in the middle. You generate the grid. That's going to give you your grid down here. I'm thinking about limiting this for now to a min, max size as well. And then from there, you can start painting, and you'll paint in 2 modes. You'll either have terrain mode, and then I'm also going to do a height mode. We're later going to expand this out to also include things like prop placement, procedural prop placement. So forests, cities, rivers, mountains, things of that sort. So that way, you know, the end goal here is to make it to where you don't have to jump into Blender or jump into full-blown Unity to make the maps that you want to put into your experience. So to that end, what we're painting here is we're not painting actual colors. It's not going to be green on the quad or brown or anything like that. It's really just going to be you telling the system what category of textures and mesh information you want to use for a given area. So you'll select which one you want. You can see I've got a couple here, and then you'll just start clicking on these squares and painting it. And then when you hit generate map, this whole sample map will then get fed into a custom material that will then proceed to generate the map. And then at the end, when you're happy with what you see, you'll be able to say export map spark. And then map sparks are what we use inside of Bonfire to make it really easy for you to just drag and drop experiences together. In fact, I'll go ahead and share that a little bit just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Kind of get the end goal in mind as we create this, right? So let me go ahead and one moment. Let me swap this out. By the way, all the music here is from a wonderful website called Artlist. If you don't know about them, definitely check them out. It's supposed to be, you know, copyright strike free music for a flat rate. We'll see how it goes. So let's go ahead and share. Where is it? Here we go. Bonfire Builder. Okay. Interesting. Seems like it's trying to capture more of my display than I'm authorizing. That's interesting, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. So this is Bonfire Builder. This is ultimately what I'm making the map generator product for. The end goal here being to make it super easy for you to jump into creating your own experience. In Bonfire, we call them books, and have your own map. So if I click on Map Explorer here, you can see I've got this endless green, right? It's just the same texture over and over and over again. That's not very fun. So here I can go into some of my realistic floors, for example, and I can say, okay, I want bathroom tile, right? And I want dark tile, or let's go into ground, do like a forest floor, right? You can see it's got a little bit of distortion on it, right? And so we have these, they're already in the builder. Wait a minute, that's not updating. Why isn't that updating? You guys aren't seeing what I'm doing. That's no good. All right, let me try this. There we go. Okay, so I switched over to a game view, which should hopefully make this a little bit nicer. All right, so you guys didn't see any of that. So let me go back into this now. If I go back to the map browser, and it's kind of hard to read, let me go ahead and increase the UI a little bit. There we go. Nice. So here you can see in the Map Explorer, I've got this kind of just a standard terrain with a little bit of distortion on it. And it's really easy for me to be able to change this out. So I can just say, okay, I want to do different types of, like, let's say grass or an ice field or mossy ground. I can do all these swaps all day. I can even go into regular floors and do like a tile or a blue bathroom tile, carpet, etc. Right? And that's nice, except for one core problem, and that is that you can't really do anything else with it aside from just use these maps that are already made. And so the idea here is to make it possible for you yourself, without having to be a full-blown artist, to generate and manipulate your own maps. I'm calling them dynamic maps, right? And so that is what the map generator is all about. Let me get that. There we go. this guy. So let me get that back over. Like I said, learning this all live with you guys, so apologies ahead of time for the rough edits. But the idea here being this is going to feed into this, right? And so what we're trying to make is we're trying to make it possible to make those kinds of maps. But eventually, what the map generator will actually let you be able to do, and this is going to be really cool, is not just make individual maps in terms of just floor, essentially, but be able to do full-blown environments, right? And so here we have a factory environment. I can even chuck in a dungeon environment, right? And so we want these kinds of environments to be able to be generated as well, right? But for now, we're starting off at the min level, the prototype level, and we're going to find ourselves just kind of chilling at the ground only for now. Oop, fell through. It's okay. It's going to respawn me here. There we go. Sweet. Okay, so that's the end target. Happy to talk more about Bonfire in a little bit, but for now, let's get right back into the map generator. Okay, so as I said before, we've got just a little bit of this GUI set up. It's very rough, purely functional. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and make it possible to paint these cubes. Now, right now, they're just buttons. Probably not going to leave them as buttons, but it does the job of being able to generate a dynamic grid. So now what I'm going to do is I want to be able to click and drag to paint whatever color I select up here onto these tiles. All right, so that's what I'm going to work on next. So let's get this like that. There we go. And you guys can't see the code side of it, but I'll try and keep things as interesting as I can here. Just bear with me while I get my bearings. And this is an AMA as well, so if any of you guys have any questions or if there's something you'd like me to dive deeper into, feel free to ask away. The chat stream should be working. Let me double check my browser here. Yeah, so far so good. Twitch is saying I'm still playing Deep Rock Galactic. That's awesome. We'll figure out how to fix that later. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and chill with the music and occasionally show off what I'm doing. Okay, so we should probably get the toggles working first with the toggle group. The way we're going to do that is we go into our map generator canvas here. We got terrain types. We got a toggle group already. However, the toggles don't have a graphic to be able to toggle on and off. So the way we're going to handle that is I'm going to, no, not that one. I'm actually going to go ahead and spawn a regular toggle. And on there, there will be a check mark that you can see is grabbed here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that check mark, copy it, Actually, I'll just drag it right onto here. And then I should be able to use this guy like so. Let's see here. Got the background, we got the toggle, background label, background. Toggles there, background's there. So we're doing this a little bit different than normal. So what I can do here is I can go ahead and copy this, create a new game object. We're going to call this background. Put it here. And then we can paste that component that I copied as new. Right. And then I'm going to go ahead and scale it to its parent. And that'll allow me to kill this image. And then put the background back in the target graphic. Okay, so it's not quite... I see what's going on. And that's because I'm using a layout group. And so without the image there, it's not giving it a forced size. So what I can do for now is disable the control size. Well, there's two ways I can do this. I can either disable the control child size and then just manually punch in a value, as you can see here. So I can just say 40, right? Done. Or I can do a layout element, which allows me to define a minimum width. And that's another way that I can kind of force it to a specific size. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just disable the controls on the width and the height. So that way I can manually do that myself. It's a few extra clicks, but it's worth it in the end, I think, to just kind of simplify the process for now. Okay, so now I should be able to delete that. And so then I just need to, I think the easiest way to do this would be just go ahead and delete these and then get this one working. And then once this one is working, then we can go ahead and get the rest working. So I'm actually going to bring back that check mark because something is not working right. We need to figure out what it is. Okay. So let me disable the toggle group for now. Ah, okay. The check mark is just not in the right spot. Done deal. Look at that. And so now we're good to go. Okay, so I can kill that. And then we're going to do a couple different options for now. So grass, dirt, stone, rock, essentially. Ice. And we'll do snow, water. What else? Pavement, right? I could do like a tile of some kind. So let's make this one dirt. Give that a nice brownish color. Still want it to be, that checkbox is going to be a problem, isn't it? Do something like that for now, just to keep it nice and light. And then I've got spacing on this. Yeah, we can keep the 5 spacing. Yeah, it'll work. Okay, and the check mark here. Sure. Okay, so we got grass, dirt, stone. This one will just be a very simple gray. And then we'll do snow. So I don't want to do pure white. because everything's going to start off white, right? So if I make it, well, yeah, if I make it white, that won't make any sense, will it? So need to do like a, go into the blues, do like a, something like that. So that'll be our snow. For now, eventually what this will be is it'll just be a paintable texture, but just trying to see what we can do to give us some basics here. Okay. And then what else do we want? Grass, dirt, stone, snow, pavement. So this would be similar to stone, but I don't want it to be confused as the same thing. Debating on whether or not I want to do road and pavement as separate things. Oh, we're not doing water. Let's make this one water. And then we'll make the other one road. Okay. So this will go into the... I'm gonna have to do pastels for now until I can do a thicker white outline. I don't like that. Okay, we gotta fix this check mark because this check mark is not cutting it. So if I remember correctly, all this toggle does is it just toggles it on and off. So for now, what may be the better approach here? It is requiring an image. Let's see what I can do with this. Let me make something better than this really quick. What size is that? 40 by 40. So what I'm thinking is rather than a check mark, what I can do is a black X that's a little bit thicker, a little bit bolded, and use that with a white outline as a bit of a better base. Okay, so I need to... memory don't fail me now. How do I enable transparency on GIMP? Okay, so for those who want to know, I should probably be sharing this screen. I'm sorry, one moment. I'm not seeing it. That is interesting. So GIMP apparently does not latch on nicely. Oh, it does, but it latches on as a game. Or not. You gonna turn on there, bud? Interesting. But it still latches on to the builder just fine. Yeah. Figuring it out live, folks. Oh, here we go. There we go. That's a little better. So for those who want to know for next time, what you do is to make your background transparent in GIMP. An artist I am not, by the way, very much a programmer. So you just click your wand tool, select your image, and then go to colors, color to alpha, and now we have our nice alpha background, or transparent background. So from here, I should be able to now make my X. So let me go in here, and best way to do this, I think, is just with a pencil. Or no, is there a line tool? I think there's a... The joys of figuring things out as you go. Yeah, pencil's probably going to be best. Do a square brush. Pixel brush, even better. And then just get this down in size. Probably what? 10? That might be too big. Let's go 5. I cannot see. There we go. Okay, so the checkbox was within these bounds entirely. So I'll clean that up here in a minute. What I want to do is I want to now go a little bit bigger. Let's say 8. And in a new layer, put it underneath. I'm going to do the same thing. If I can do this right. Okay, that mostly works. So now I just need to go through and round this out. So I'm going to set the size to 1. Actually, I need to do that with an eraser. There we go. And now on the black layer, I want the hardness to be 100, force to also be 100. So that way it literally just... it's not giving me what I want. Hold on. Still making it a brush. I almost need like a pixel art tool for this. Hard edge, will that do it? Yes, love it. Okay. So now I just need to come in here, clean it up a bit. Let's see here. Yeah, I should do it. So now I just duplicate that same thing on all the others. Let's see here. 1, 2. Yeah, because then what I can do is I can go into here, clean this up. Let's see how this looks. So we're doing 1 pixel thick as a border. So we just look for anything that's not a pixel thick border. Look at that. Okay, let's see here. Okay. 3 over. 1, 2, 3. I think. And then here. Okay, so I should be able to just delete those. And then the way this works. Why does this not look right? There we go. That did it. Look at me learning how to do pixel art. Is that right? That is. Okay. For those of you just joining, what I'm doing is I am working on a procedural map generator. It's going to make it possible for you to just very easily color in pixels on a grid that will then generate a nice, pretty low fidelity or high fidelity map for you without you having to do all of the work. So it kind of works like Minecraft, except it's not going to be volumetric. We're going to use actual high quality textures and models to generate the map for you. And then that becomes something that you can use in your experiences. So pretty handy stuff there. And I am a first-time streamer, 100%. So, you know, I appreciate any support at all. This is an AMA. Hi, I don't want to mispronounce that. Anna James Arts, I believe is what that says. Thank you so much for the chat. Good to see you. I think that's coming from Twitch, yeah? If that icon is correct. Just want to make sure it's synced properly. Yes, it did. Awesome. Love it when things work right. Hello. Okay, getting back into this here. I'm on the black one. Yes, good. Okay. Okay, now I have to try and do this upside down. Oh, and also there is a massive delay that I'm still trying to figure out how to fix. I think I'm about like a 10-second delay right now. I tried doing a low latency mode, but it completely ruined the quality of the audio. So with time, I'll learn the ins and outs of streaming a little bit better and get it cleaned up. But just for your sake, since you're joining me, Anna James, there is about a 10-second delay between what I say and what ends up on the stream. So how am I doing? I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. It is an exciting new chapter in my career right now where I'm getting the chance to jump headlong into the social media spaces and the live streaming. Never done it before, but getting to learn and getting to share that learning process with you all. So I did one live stream previous to this, very casual, just gaming on Deep Rock Galactic. You can find that in my VODs. I was playing with one of my buddies who's also a budding streamer. His handle I think is the, I don't want to get it wrong. The Unholy Emperor? No, maybe? The Unholy Roman, that's what it is. We had fun, but you know, it was very casual, just kind of laid back. So now this is me trying to take a stab at a different style, where it's more of a devlog AMA type thing, where we just hang out and I answer questions and you get to see the kind of stuff that I'm working on. So thank you so much for watching. And right now I am getting to learn how the heck all those incredible artists out there do pixel art. Because an artist, I most definitely am not. Let's see here. Yeah, I need more shaved off here, I believe. Yes. Yes, that looks right. Yep, so just so you're aware, this is something that I'm doing both for myself personally, as a way of trying to get more involved in my communities that I'm involved in. Or let me try that again. Get more involved and find people like myself and those who maybe are trying to get into the gaming industry or the software development industry, and just start to build a group of people that are, you know, especially in this AI world where AI is really chomping down into making things pretty scary in places. Just trying to build out that community of people who, you know, can kind of help each other, lean on each other, and learn together. And hopefully, we can all be better for it. One of the philosophies I live by is high tide rises all ships, and so this is my way of starting that trend of, at least in my circles, of trying to contribute to that tide. You know, for a first attempt, that's not bad. All right, let's give this a go. So I'm going to go ahead and export it now. Yes, I am a game developer. So I have been in the industry for, oh gosh, almost 20 years now. And from the very beginning, I was developing basically games, but not for entertainment purposes, really more for serious use cases. So one of the very first pieces of software I ever developed was actually for vision therapy. It was for people who had lazy eyes or had suffered a head injury, or even a less critical situation. There were sports players like baseball, football, that would use my program for hand-eye coordination training. And it was interesting because at that time, game engines weren't really being used for anything like that. So, you know, it was the more traditional bare bones, having to do it all in C style development. And so when I came onto the scene, I was using Unity at the time to beat the pants off of the competition, because they would quote out something ridiculous like 8 to 12 months to create an application, and I'd knock it out in, you know, a couple months, right? And so that was the beginning of an addiction that I got very much hooked on, where from that point forward, I was constantly looking for ways to apply game engine technologies to things other than just games. And that has now come full circle to where now I'm able to help develop tools that make experiences, whether it be for entertainment or training or something else, even faster than what Unity and Unreal allow for. I'm actually making it possible to where you don't even need to be a programmer anymore. You don't even need to be an artist anymore, aside from maybe a few things like this. The map generator I'm referring to, not this pixel art stuff. But basically get to a point where right now, you know, if you wanted to make an experience, you don't have to go and learn Unity. You don't have to go learn Unreal. You can just load up our tool and jump straight into the storytelling side of it. And that to me is a really exciting space. We're prepping for a release later in August. It's our very first public release, so fingers crossed it goes well. But at the end of the day, we're in this just to try and, as I said, high tide rises all ships, help out the community, and try and see if we can't move the needle for human content creators in this world of rapidly evolving AI tech. So Anna, I'm going to call you Anna if you don't mind, Anna James Arts. What kind of things do you do? Let's get back over to this guy. Nope, not that guy. I want... There we go. Sweet. There we go. Alpha's transparency. Sweet. Glad I can call you Anna. Thank you. I wasn't sure with a name like that. You've got two names in your username. Are you an artist? Because it said arts at the end. That's why I'm asking. Ah, yes, I got it right. Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, then you're really going to love what I'm working on because hopefully it makes your life a little bit easier. Ooh, it doesn't like it. Oh, that's right. I have to make it a sprite. There we go. Love it. Rather than doing this a bunch of times, let's just be smart about this here. Okay, it's too big. That's okay, because I can always scale it down. Look at that. That's better. Pops out a bit more. Still very prototypey, but gets the job done. Okay, so now I should be able to assign the toggle group back to all this. Maybe. Yes, love it when it works. Okay. So now, let's see what I missed. Look at that. Love it. Okay, so now I just need to finish the colors. This is going to be road. So the color on this guy should be closer to black, kind of like asphalt. And let's see if the check mark does well against that. It does. 5 years an artist, that's awesome. What kind of art do you do? Grass. By the way, shout out again for these awesome lo-fi tunes. They are from artlist.io. You have 1 monthly fee and you get access to an entire library of sound effects, video footage, stock footage, music, etc. They are not sponsoring this by any means, although I'd welcome it. Just shouting it out there because it's pretty cool. Portrait art, line art, business stuff, streaming stuff, and 3D models. Nice. So you got it all figured out. You've got everything from, wow, okay. Wish I had some of that. I know how to draw stick figures. That's about where my artistry skills are. But it is absolutely awesome that you can do all of that. Okay, so I've got my checkboxes working now. So now I need to actually latch on to that sucker and make sure I'm actually doing something with it. So what's going to be the best way to do this? Okay, that's how I can do it. So what I'll do is I'll create a quick little script here. So I already have terrain types. Trying to think of the best way to do this so it scales, so I don't have to keep doing it over and over again. I think the best way to do it, I'm going to follow solid principles a little bit here. I'm going to create the script. Toggle. The hardest part about programming, honestly, and I'm sure there's things like this in the art world as well, is just figuring out what the heck to name things. Because you want it to be precise enough to where you're not guessing at its purpose later on, but not so precise that you end up with something that's like 200 characters long. So I'm just trying to think through this here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think how best to dynamically add listeners to all of my toggles, such that when I add additional toggles, I don't then have to go through and click on each one of those new toggles and add the listener manually, et cetera, et cetera. And so the best way to do that is via a script. And what I'm going to want that script to do is I'm going to want to latch it onto the terrain types parent, and then use the script to then fetch all of the children, so the grass, dirt, stone, whatever else ends up in there, and then at launch, go ahead and add the listeners dynamically. But to do so, just not figuring out if there's a way I can genericize this more. So perhaps I can call it toggle group auto listeners, or how about just auto listeners? I think that would be the better way. I like auto listeners. I think that'll do it. And this is a prototype, so there's all kinds of better ways I could be organizing this, but I'm just going for speed right now. Let me now switch the window over. There we go. Okay. So for this, what I want to do is I want to grab that initial parent. So this is going to be genericized, right? So first thing I want to do is I want to treat this as if it's going to be working for a product other than the one I'm currently in. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Anna. I do try. Human, 100% through and through, make plenty of mistakes, but my philosophy is if you try every day to do better than you did yesterday, then you're liable to get to a very good place as time passes. And so plenty of skeletons in my closet, I'm sure, but I do my best to just try and push that high tide rises all ships motif as much as I can. Is motif the right word there? Saying words to live by. I don't know. I'm still trying. I got too much running in my head with this live stream trying to figure this all out. All right, so getting back into this, let's see here. I want to create a public game object. We're going to call this the... We'll keep it simple. We'll just say... Actually, there's a better way to do this. We're going to make it private. We'll call this the parent. And then I'll use serialized fields. So what this allows me to control is by making it private... Oh, thank you so much. You're so kind. Seriously, please stick around. You're the kind of people that I really do want to try and make a community with. It's really tough out there these days with how tight the economy is and the job market and everything. And I really just feel like we need more people who are leaning on each other and helping each other out and trying to maintain that human-to-human connection in a world where everything's pushing us to do more of the digital, right? And so even though this is digital, trying to put a human face on it and be a bit more authentic and just try and see if we can't, little by little, make the world a better place. So thank you so much for being my first viewer. It's awesome. I will remember you always. All right, so getting back into this, we've got the private status here. And what that does is it ensures that if someone, for whatever reason, decides to try and access auto listeners as a class, they will not be able to change the parent, which means that the parent has to be assigned through the inspector. And the way we expose it to the inspector is by serializing the field. So that's what this is doing here. So even though this is marked as private, typically how you would do this is you would have to expose a game object as public or a variable as public, and that would then make it show up in the inspector. But the problem here is that if later on someone tries to grab this class and they grab an instance of this class, they'd then be able to change this object on you. And because we're really only wanting this to be used internally, yeah, I do actually. Thank you so much. I should probably have like a QR code or something up here, shouldn't I? So let me get that link going. I want to edit the invite link. No limit. Never expire. Generate new link. Copy. Okay, now what I'm going to do is... How best to do this? I think what I'll do is I'll bring this down a little bit. And I will add new text. Actually, you know what I want to do? I'm going to do it this way. Apologies for the delays. Let me get a QR code up and running. I think that'll be the easiest way, maybe. Or, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? I'll just make it a part of Twitch, right? They have a section for that? They do. So let me just add a link. Go to my creator dashboard. Ooh, how do I do this? Streaming tools, maybe? No. How do I want to do this? Oh. 1 second. That's a buddy of mine that's at my door, so I'm going to need to step away for just a few minutes. But in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put that Discord link right in here, and I will pin it at the top, just so that way it's in there. And that'll work for now. But I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining the Discord. You are member number 2. And the first one was me. So basically member number 1. Good times. All right. Where was I? Right. Okay. So by making this assignable in the inspector in Unity, what that then allows us to do is on start, we can then go ahead and grab all of the children of the parent and then grab an object from that. And so, in fact, I might be able to, oh, is it complaining because it's not the transform? Fine, there we go. And so then we can iterate through all of the different objects that are underneath the parent and then go ahead and do what we need to do with that. So one of the first things I'm going to want to be able to do is I want to grab the tooltip that's on each of them. So I'm going to say tooltip equals t.getComponent, and this should be tooltip. And then I should be able to get terrain type as a string from that. Unless I have not exposed it. I have not exposed it. Look at that. Yeah, I'd love that. You can share it in the Discord. So go ahead and just pop it into general and I'll be able to see it from there. Or if you want it to be something that nobody else can see, that I understand, you can also just DM me directly. Hello. All right, so getting into the tooltip. I want the tooltip text is what I want. Fix the naming convention there. And then what we can do, so we can grab the toggle. Just going to require the UI namespace. No, where is it? Oh, Toogle. Heh. Yeah. Let me get my spelling right. How about that? Is that the right one? UI elements? There was one in UI. There is one in UI. That is the correct one. Seriously though, these tunes, they're awesome. We've got the toggle. And now here, I should be able to latch onto an event. And as the name suggests, an event will usually let me... something's not right here. That's the transition mode. On value change. There it is. That's what I wanted. And so now I need a Unity action. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a function. Actually, we're going to do it this way. We're going to say serialize field again, private, Unity action, bool. Go ahead and add the namespace. That's going to be the events namespace. And we're going to say this is going to be response on change. Now, here is immediately where we run into our first problem, right? Because, oh, that is hilarious. It wants the underscore here, but doesn't want the underscore here. Ha! Well, you know what? I'm going to put the underscore on both because I'm a man of consistency. Or at least I try to be. Okay, so this is where it gets a little confusing, right? Because this is going to have to be toggle specific. Oh, there's a couple ways we could do this here. I could do it this way. If toggle does not equal null, then do this, right? That's better coding anyway. And then what I can do is I can do all the different types for the base types like button and drop down and things like that. And I can kind of build it in here. I kind of like that, to be honest. It's very solid in terms of the design. And I'm a big proponent of the solid principles. If you don't know what they are, I will go ahead and drop you a link because they are pretty darn important these days. So let's see here. So I'll just drop a wiki link, not wiki links, but a link to a wiki. There we go. Okay. Nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Anna. Ooh, I've never been to this website before. So Anna was kind enough to share her work portfolio with me. I won't share it on the stream just to make sure that we're protecting her work. But I am going to take a peek here and take a look and see what we're looking at here. So gaming overlays immediately grabs my eye. Nice. Very nice. Very clean. Very clean aesthetic. Granted, that's coming from someone who's not an artist, but initial reaction is very clean. Looks good. Streamers pack. Yeah. Love it. You've got some some references to some stuff I know. I used to be a huge Final Fantasy fan back in the day. Still am. They're hard games to play these days and get into. You know, I've got a buddy of mine who plays Final Fantasy, the MMO one. I forget which one that is. 15, 17, something like that. Absolutely loves it. Wish I had the time to get into it, but you know, startup life, man. I'm always cranking on the hours. Mascot logos are clean too. feel like I've seen this style before. I might have seen your work somewhere and not realized what I was looking at. It's got a distinct feel. I like the Yoshi one. Oh, you even got the gaming emotes? Nice. Well, I hope you're doing well because this looks like really good work. Wow. That looks awesome. I love the dragon. Good. Sorry for the silence. I'm setting up an account so I can view some of the rest of it. Oh, it kicked me. Why did it kick me? Hold on. Whoa, what's going on here? Take me back. Back to where I was. There we go. Oh, you even do VTuber models. Very nice. That's clean. That's the with my little bit of knowledge of art that I have, that's the highest compliment that I know is it's clean. It's very clean, looks great. Thank you so much for sharing. Nice. I'm looking at the family portraits one. That's fun. That's awesome. So I can already tell with your skill set, you're probably going to really like what we're doing with Bonfire, especially with we don't really do 2D artwork. We're specializing on 3D for one reason only, and that is we want to be able to work across every device, including VR and XR. And so because we're tackling the VR XR space, that inevitably kind of forces us into having some kind of 3D representation at all times for any visuals. And so the benefit there, though, is that you can truly create your product, your experience one time and have it work across all devices. So just to give you an idea of what I mean, I've actually got our product already running on my phone, and I'll pull it up on the webcam here in just a second. And what you'll really like about it is the fact that once you, what we call Sparkify your assets, so the artwork that you're doing, then it becomes drag and drop simple, and you don't have to worry about programming any of the controls or anything. We do all of that for you, right? And so then whether it's on a phone or on a desktop or on an XR headset, people can enjoy what you make all day long. So I will be doing a Bonfire walkthrough later on, and I think you'd be really interested in that. So I will definitely DM you the schedule just to make sure you know when it's happening. It'll also be on my channels and everything, but I'm personally aware that I'm probably going to screw it up a little bit because I'm still learning all this tech. So I'll make sure you know about it. And I would love to get your feedback on what you think about the tool and how we could make it better, so that way people such as yourself can take full advantage of it. And again, we're going to be launching in mid to late August, hopefully, depending upon Steam, at which point you'll be able to start using it to deploy content. So yeah, fantastic portfolio here. Very well done. I'm going to drop a follow. And then if you want to check out more about what we're doing, I will tell you right now, we do not have an artist in our company. So forgive, the website needs some work. But if you go to dimx.dev, you'll be able to learn more about us. And the company that I'm I'm the CEO of. I'm one of 3 co-founders, and we are generating 2 products, Bonfire and Sparks. Sparks is the asset type. It's a brand new file type. Lets Logic live with the visuals. And then that gets fed into our Bonfire platform. For now, basically, we're trying to prove out that Sparks will actually help people. Eventually, we plan on making it possible to where Sparks are able to be integrated into whatever else is out there, right? Kind of like how PDFs are today with documents, where you can open up a PDF in Google Chrome as well as Adobe Acrobat. We want the same kind of thing with Sparks, where, of course, Bonfire is going to be the one true place to go to because it was built from the ground up with Sparks in mind. But then Sparks might also be usable inside of Meta Horizon Worlds, or, you know, Rec Room, or fill in the blank. So that's kind of what we're trying to do there. So I'll drop a link. I need to get faster with all these window switches. There we go. That's the website. Cool. Okay. Okay. Getting back into it now. So we have our action. We've serialized it so that way it's assignable via the inspector. And then what we're able to now do is we are able to put in response on change right there. And so what this then allows us to do, oh, there's one other thing I need to do though. Somehow I need to be able to pass in the string. So one of 2 things is going to have to happen, and I don't believe, will it let me? It will. But then it doesn't like it here. Okay, so new problem. I need a way to be able to pull the terrain type. Well, wait a minute. I can just do it as part of the function. Yeah. Yeah, so I would take this exact same line, and rather than doing it here, I would need to do it in whatever I pass into response on change. And I like that because then that gets rid of the dependency on tooltip. No, I like that a lot because that gets rid of the dependency on tooltip, which tooltip is a custom class. So now I've got the option to where I can just grab whatever information I need to grab from the thing that I pass into response on change. Beautiful. I like that. Let's see how that looks inside of the game engine. I'm going to be toggling camera on and off here because I've got a lunch right here that I'm going to be trying to get down my gullet real quick. All right. So getting back into it here, we'll go ahead and refresh the editor. And then I'm going to add auto listeners here. That's what I was afraid of. Okay. So good news, bad news. Good news is we don't actually need to make parent. We don't need this at all because we can just say this.transform. However, because this is a Unity action that accepts a parameter, it won't let me, okay, so tangent, Anna, now that I saw that, I would love to talk to you more about my brand, Hunter Tank. It's brand spanking new, came up with it literally 2 days ago. Well, I'll be conservative, 3 days ago. And I'll be honest with you, I used AI to generate it because, again, not an artist. So that fancy little graphic you're seeing, that was not me. That was me punching some text into ChatGPT and trying to see what it would come up with because it's all I had available to me. I like how it turned out. Love the mascot, love the setup. But true to what I'm trying to build as a community, I would prefer it to be something human made, if at all possible, eventually. So happy to talk more about that when appropriate, when there's time for it. Just clean this up a little bit. There we go. I will say this much though, there was a human involved in the final version. I had a buddy of mine who does pixel art help clean it up because it had some visual artifacts, and like the YouTube logo was on it and other silly things that clearly the AI messed up on. Because I said, oh yeah, make me a banner that works for YouTube. And so it made me that banner, and then like the YouTube logo was all over the place, and it's like, not what I meant. Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, but that's why AI is going to be so successful, right? Is because for people like myself, who's highly specialized, and I'm really good at what I do, right? And what I do is I create solutions using game engine technologies, right? But I'm not an artist, nor am I that much of a video editor or anything like that. And so what AI does is it allows me to at least get something out, right? It may not be great, it may be far from perfect, but it's better than what I could have made, right? And so that's really what we're up against. Even programmers, we're up against this, because what's going to happen is, and we're already seeing it, AI is slowly eating into the coder space, right? And really what it boils down to is we just have to find ways to fight for that human involvement, that human engagement, without trying to just outright kill AI, because we're not going to be able to. It's too good. The promise of AI is too strong. And so instead we have to find ways to come alongside AI and make it something that benefits us, that enhances us, that makes the average human be able to do more, better, faster, stronger, all that fun stuff. And I think what that means is really embracing AI, but being very diligent in exploring how we can maintain the human element in AI. So for example, with Bonfire, we are not putting any AI natively into Bonfire whatsoever. It's not in there, flat out. We did that specifically because our goal is to make Bonfire fast enough for humans to be able to compete with AI at some level. The next stage of that then is to make it to where you can use AI tools to then help speed up further what you're doing in Bonfire inside our no-code, low-code tool. But it's still you inside the no-code, low-code tool doing all of that creation work, right? So it might be something like, for example, this map generator. Right now, I'm using a GUI setup where you can clearly say, I want this, 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 and this, right? I could easily see us making this a generative AI tool where you have those controls still, but there would also be an AI prompt where you could say, make me a city next to a forest with a river running between them both, right? And it would then auto-generate the sample map, auto-generate everything you need, and then from there you can make tweaks and adjustments to fine-tune it to exactly what you want, right? So rather than, I think of it kind of like a calculator for math, right? Calculators are incredibly powerful, but they can still make mistakes because they don't know what you know, right? They don't have the full picture. And so using a calculator can be extremely powerful, speed you up, allow you to get to the answer very quickly, as long as you have the knowledge to know when it's wrong and to make sure that the information you're feeding in and the information you're getting out match the complete picture that you have in your head, right? And so same thing here, where it's like, it's going to be AI that acts like the calculator for language, for art, for video, for music, for all these different things, where informed individuals can use it to really speed up production. But we have to be careful not to let it just give us the answer, right? We have to be the final layer in saying, yes, this is what I want, right? And providing the tools to be able to do that. For example, I generated that banner on ChatGPT. That's all I got. It was binary. It's like, oh, make me an image. Boom, image. Well, now what? I either like it or I don't, right? So instead, I would like to see it be something that's in Photoshop or in all these other artistry tools, where it then makes those artistry tools more accessible to people who don't necessarily know art and maybe are scared of the learning curve of art. But because AI is there to kind of help them along and help fill in the gaps while they're still learning, they're more encouraged to try new things and jump in and just give it a whirl and see what they can do. And then as they get better and better and better, you may find, kind of like with a calculator, you may find you rely on it less and less and less, right? Or you change how you use it. And so I think that ultimately is the direction we need to be pushing. And I'm trying to live that through what we're doing with AI with our product. So for starts, no AI at all, force ourselves to basically do the long division, right? And see how optimal we can get in terms of staying competitive. And then eventually start to look at ways we can integrate AI tastefully, right? To then enhance what the tool already does. Okay, so getting back into this, so we have a problem here where I no longer need to assign the parent in the inspector. That much is obvious. That's cool. That saves some headaches there. One less click and drag. However, the Unity action. Let me look this up really quick. Yeah, let's talk. So I'm doing the devlog AMA today, and then I'm rolling into my After Hours series at 5-ish. We're going to be playing Helldivers 2, and just, I'm trying to keep that balance of like, doing the more, what do you want to call it, businessy end of things during the day, and then getting into the more fun, casual stuff later on, just to try and not make the channel nothing but business. But with that said, the weekend's coming up. Tomorrow I'll have some time as well, so we can go ahead and just DM me. We'll schedule something and see what we can do. What was I looking? Oh yes. Yeah, that's fine. So I need to serialize generic. Okay, so it's a Unity event that I need, not a Unity action. Unity event. It doesn't like it. Got it. I know what I can do. Okay, so let me switch back here. Nope, not that. There we go. All right, so I changed this to a Unity event. So now what that means is this is something that I can trigger. And so what I can do is I can say pass in a bool and a string. And so then what I can do is I can create a lambda here. I can then say response on change dot invoke, and I pass in the bool, and then also I need to bring back that tooltip. Not a fan of that, but that's okay. Get component, tooltip, I'll probably think of a better way to do this later. But I just want to get us to a certain point so we can try this out. Okay, and then I can pass in the terrain type. There we go. Okay, so the way this works is response on change is going to hold the function we actually want to call. And then what we're going to do is I actually need to make sure I'm checking that this isn't null. So then inside of each toggle, we're going to add a listener that then is going to pass the new toggle state as well as the particular terrain type to whatever function we are invoking here, right? And so that's how we can still make this assignable, hopefully, in the inspector, but maintain some of that dynamicism that I was referring to. So in terms of where I'm from, what I will say is I'll give some generics, obviously for reasons I'm not going to get too specific, but I was born and raised native Californian and have been jumping back and forth between California and Texas multiple times over. It has been quite the ride. I have moved, I'm actually moving here next week. I have moved a grand total, this will be my 14th time moving, all for work reasons. And it has been just insane chasing that job everywhere it takes me. But at the same time, it's been interesting because it's forced me to learn to be very good at just growing where I'm planted, wherever that may be, right? So whether I find myself in a, you know, kind of suburbia area that's 20 minutes away from any major mall, or if I find myself in the middle of a bustling city, you know, I just kind of make it work one way or the other. Yeah, nice. Florida, I've been there. Kudos to you to making that home. I love Florida in terms of the Orlando area and how much there is to do. And I've been to all kinds of conferences there and everything like that. I could never get used to the humidity. Heck, I struggle with the humidity here in Texas. I don't know how you guys do it. Props to you. I mean, I've been to Gatorland. I enjoy all that stuff. I enjoy the culture. I enjoy the stuff that you can do there. But the weather, oh my gosh, that weather is just brutal. I remember actually, I went to Disney World one time and my uncle, I didn't believe him at the time. He said, you know, if you don't like the weather in Florida, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change. I was like, yeah, I'm sure it's not quite that bad. No, it is. We literally had a monsoon roll in, it felt like, while we were at Epcot Center. And granted, I'm a Californian. I don't know a single thing about this kind of weather, right? And so I'm sitting here just ducking under a little overhang, trying to avoid getting dunked on. And about 5 minutes later, sun was shining, not a single raindrop to be found. And I was just kind of like, what the heck just happened? Okay, so where was I? Yes, okay, here we go. We're gonna cycle that. There we go. See, now we've got this to where if I grab an object, let's see here. Okay, so with that said now, what am I wanting to change? I am wanting to change what happens when I click on the buttons in the grid. So in order to accomplish that, when I click on a given color, one of my categories of terrain, I want to be able to then modify a value somewhere that all of my button clicks. Okay, so it's going to be in my, what would this be, terrain grid? Probably. Got the editor UI, set height, generate map. Yeah, that's not it. Terrain grid, probably. All right, let's see here. Terrain type to color. Here we go. So that's right. So I'm currently using a function to paint it all one color on the start, but I don't want to do that. Instead, Sorry, everybody. I'm just getting some lunch in me. I'll be back on camera here in just a minute. All right. That was delicious. So in my family, we have two dishes that are rarely made, but when they are made, they do not last long. And that is a chicken broccoli casserole, that is for lunch, and a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast casserole and both are absolutely incredibly tasty. And we'll make like 3 or 4 trays of it, and it'll be gone in a day. It's insane. So yeah, that's what I was having just now, was the breakfast casserole, because I'm wild like that and decided to do breakfast for lunch. All right, getting back into it. All right, jumping back into it. So what we're looking at here is we have our response on change, Boolean string, Boolean being the state of the toggle that was pulled, and then string would be the identifier, although theoretically we could get rid of the string and just pull from the event args to get the button that triggered it. But we're going to start off with this just to see how it feels. So the next thing that I'm going to want to do is I want to be able to, on the map itself, so grid panel, I have this terrain grid script. So this isn't very solid, but just for the sake of moving the needle forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a public terrain type. It's going to default to grass. And I will use that when I go to paint. So what that then means is I would need to create a function. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. So what I did was I just created a current type. And so down here, actually I can make this an expression. There we go. And I actually need to match these up with what I have in the editor. So let me take a look again really quick. Grass, dirt, stone, snow, water, and road. So grass, dirt. Oh, wait a minute. Terrain type to color. I don't think I actually need that anymore. I don't need either of these because I was doing a different approach before. So instead what it's going to be is I'm just going to create a new function. Public void set pixel painter color. It'll accept a bool and a string. Yes. Okay. And so then what that allows me to do is I can say current type. So if is on is false, that means that the toggle was turned off, and so we just return. Right? We should never get that because the toggle group, I'm going to set it to where we're always turning something on. But just in case in the off chance it comes through as off, we'll just go ahead and check. And then so that means we're assuming it's on. So the next thing to do is to make sure that from an enum perspective, try parse, we're going to pass it the type, terrain type, and then pass it the string. That's going to be terrain type again. Oh, what don't you like? Value. Oh, even easier. I can do this. Out. Okay. Sure. And then I believe this returns a bool. Yep. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, if the terrain type fails to parse, meaning that the string that we're passing in does not successfully parse to an option in terrain type, then we'll just bail out and we won't actually change the color. Now, realistically, we should, yeah, here, I'll go ahead and do it now. We should have a log in here. It says unsupported terrain type found, and feed it terrain type. And that $sign allows me to define variables inside these curly braces. And then that way we at least know that something went wrong. And from here we now have type. And so with that type, we can now define what we want to do with the sample map, right? So here we would say switch on type. And then this is where I would draw the color onto the square. Well, actually, no, excuse me. We're doing that. We're getting ahead of ourselves. This is the current type equals type. That's what that is. Okay. And so now if we pop over to I'm thinking, sorry. So what are we doing? That's right. We're checking to make sure that we can actually drag. Oh, what does it like? Yep. Okay. This actual whole thing is no longer needed. And so now what I can do is I can open this up. I can drag in grid panel, I believe. Yep, terrain grid. Boom. Set pixel painter color. So the reason why that worked is, oh my gosh, I just did that without showing Unity. Ah, ha, ha. All right, we're gonna do it all over again. Retake. Here we go. So on terrain types, I've got this event here. Boolean string are the parameters it passes in. So I'm hitting the plus to create a new entry for it. This is a Unity event, different from a Unity action, right? So a Unity event is a delegate that we can then assign other things to that can then be invoked at a later date. And so here what we're going to do is we're going to now assign a function to it. So I'm going to grab the grid panel object, chuck it in here, and then I'm going to grab the terrain grid script component that's on there. And I'm going to say set pixel painter color. You'll notice it says dynamic bool string instead of static parameters. Right? So you have static parameters versus dynamic parameters. Static parameters means if I were to pick something in here, like string name, I have to define a static parameter for this now, right? To have it actually work. But that's not what we want here. We want to actually pass parameters to it dynamically from the listener that's going to call it. And so what we want to do then is we want to make sure that we are using the dynamic function that we made, the set pixel painter color. And you'll notice now there's nothing for me to set, right? And that's because it's going to grab that Boolean and string from the other code that is going to call this event, right? So we're using a Unity action that is a listener that's on the toggle group, this guy here, right? So when toggle group changes, or more specifically, when each of the toggles in the toggle group changes, it will then trigger that Unity action, which will then call the Unity event and anything that's listening to that event and pass the information that I want to pass to that function that's listening on that event. So that whole chain there is what allows it to basically make it to where when I click on one of these colored squares, I am then changing a value in my grid panel inside of the terrain grid script to then change the current type. Right, so if this works properly, let me make sure I've got my tooltips set up right. So dirt, stone, snow, etc. Cool. Let me make sure my enum is set up right. So I'm gonna go back into the terrain grid and go into terrain type. Yeah, I don't have nearly enough in here, so hold on. Let me set this up really quick. Okay, so we've got, what do we have here? We've got grass, dirt, stone, snow, water, road. Grass, dirt, stone, snow, grass, dirt, stone, snow, water, road. Okay, so that should come across all right. All right, so with that now done, in theory, we should be able to watch the current type change on grid panel here based on what I select. Not working. Okay, why? Auto listeners errored out. It didn't like tooltip, so tooltip came up null. So let's take a look. So tooltip, it's because it's button tooltip, not regular tooltip. That's why. That's what it is. And since I'm only using this once, I can get rid of the whole thing. There we go. Okay, so we've refreshed the script, and let's see if we can get this working now. Okay. Hey, look at that. It's working. I need that Anakin meme, you know? It's working. It's working. There we go. Okay, so that's a good point for a break. I'm going to step away for a few minutes, clean up some dishes, get some water, that kind of stuff. And when I come back, we are going to take a look at then trying to make that change in current type turn into a means for us to paint that color onto each one of those individual buttons. I will be back shortly. All right, everybody. Thank you for waiting. So as it happens, some of the joys of running your own company, I've got some stuff I got to take care of on the flip side. So I'm going to go ahead and close down the live stream for now, but do go ahead and hit that follow button or subscribe depending upon the platform you're on, as I do plan on doing more of these in the future. And I'll try and put together a schedule of some kind for when I get a bit more settled in on how all this stuff works. So thank you again, everyone, for watching, and I will see you in the next one.